Hey guys, welcome to another vlog. It's been a little while since I've done any kind of, I guess, like an official vlog. Been a lot of movies and game stuff and my Blu-ray collection and all that. Vlogging has, for some reason, kind of taken a back seat for me here lately. There's so many things I want to talk about, from fluff stuff like I'm going to talk about in this one to serious things, and I just don't really always have it in me to sit down and talk about stuff, just random things. I don't know why. I feel like, I guess maybe part of it is just wanting to have more direction with my videos, but a lot of it is just not having the words, and that's just kind of the way it is sometimes. But this is something I've been thinking about for like 2 days now, and I've wanted to talk about it. Amongst some of those age-old questions that are posited to people all the time, like boxers or briefs, or Coke or Pepsi. Another big one is, are you a cat person or are you a dog person? And I do have a pretty strong opinion on this. I am a cat person, and there are reasons for that. There are a handful of reasons for why I prefer cats. There are definitely a few reasons as to why I kind of don't necessarily care for dogs a whole lot. I'm not a dog hater or anything like that. I've had dogs as pets many times in my life and possibly could have dogs again in the future. Right now, if I was in a place where I could have a pet, which I cannot where I live now, but if I did, I would probably go with a smaller indoor dog, mainly because they're so much lower maintenance than cats. And that would be preferable for me in my situation right now, is to not have to deal with things like cat litter boxes and scratching stuff, and having to get them declawed so that they won't scratch stuff. These are all prime examples of what I would define as not a good time. But there are a lot of reasons why I absolutely love cats and prefer them over dogs. So I'm going to get into that and try to kind of compare as to what I do love about cats and what I don't love about dogs. One of the things that I'm kind of against when it comes to dogs is they come off as the species of these two animals that most resembles big dumb oafs or little dumb dogs who don't realize their own size. Dogs, they just have this kind of goofy way about them. They come bounding out into the yard and they're bouncing around and they're barking and blah, blah, blah. And it just kind of gets on my nerves for some reason. I don't like it. I guess maybe this is just something that just now dawned on me, but it kind of reminds me of all these people, all these extroverted people, all these overly dramatic people, all these people who have to be the center of attention. And that's kind of like a big dumb dog bouncing around in the yard, drooling all over everything, because you just pulled up in the vehicle and they haven't seen you all day. It's wonderful to have anything, any animal, any person show you affection and appreciate, when you're gone, how much they love to see you when you come back. But their way of doing it for me is just, I just can't stand it. Cats, on the other hand, they show you love and affection in a much different way. They may meow, they may come right up to you, but they're not just like goofily bouncing all over the place. I love cats' sense of intelligence over dogs. Dogs just sometimes really don't seem to exude any kind of intelligence. I know, maybe I'm being a little harsh. I don't mean to be. I know that people love dogs for a lot of reasons, and I know that dogs are smart animals, but they just don't convey that the way that cats do. They have an intelligence and a sophistication to them. I love the fact that you can come home from work or something like that, and the cat may not even be the least bit interested. Doesn't mean that they don't love you. They just, at that moment, they're not going to show it to you in that way. I love the playful nature of cats over dogs' playful nature. Dogs are big and rough and aggressive. Well, certain kinds of dogs are. Cats, for the most part, are not. Cats are usually a little gentler, a little softer, a little quieter. They're stealthy instead of like a bull in a china cabinet. And I like that. I had a cat for a long, long time. I've got a picture of him here still. Sits up by my computer. His name is Ozzie. Well, his name was Ozzie. I don't have him anymore because he passed away about, I guess we're going on 13 years now. He came with me from Montana to here in Missouri. And about a month before I got married, he had an issue of some sort. At the time, I was working overnight shifts at my job, and I would get up, at like I got off work at 2:30 in the morning. I'd come home, be up for a couple hours, go to sleep. So I got up somewhere around noon or 1 or 2 o'clock, and he was dragging himself across the floor by his 2 front paws. Basically, like from his midsection back, it was just gone, like it was just dead weight. So, some things happened. I made some calls. I called my fiance at the time, and she came to my house, and we took him to a vet. And, of course, he was in pain and probably confused and didn't know what was going on. He scratched her and bit my finger. Not horribly bad, but enough that the vets had to check him for rabies, which meant after he'd been put down, they cut off his head and sent it to some facility to check him for it, which was always a bummer to me. It was kind of a regret because, I didn't get his body back. I'm not a kid or anything like that, but it might have been kind of nice to have buried him someplace instead of, just not ever seeing him again after he went to be put down. And that's what had to happen. They told me that they believed he had some sort of an arterial blockage somewhere in his body that just cut off the blood supply to that back end. Now, I often wondered how that works. If the blood supply has been blocked from there, how would he even still be alive? Isn't a blood supply blockage basically a heart attack? But at the time, I was just, distraught and in pain, and I just didn't question it. But that was essentially what I was told, or what I remember being told. And they said that they could go in and do surgery and alleviate it, perhaps, but they said it would really only give him probably 6 months more to live, and it would cost this amount of money, or you could just put him down and put him out of his misery for a lot less money. I love my cat to death, but I wasn't going to be one of those people who was going to do that to just try to sustain his life for a little bit longer. He was 10 years old, 10 years plus probably, 10 or 11 essentially. I know that's not extremely old for cats, but it just seemed like the right thing to do was to just put him out of his misery and not try to prolong it for my own selfish reasons. But it was painful. It was very, very painful. Basically, he was the only pet that I've ever had that long. I guess he was the longest pet I've ever owned. I've had dogs, cats, birds, hamsters. Lots of silly little things, even a snake when I was a kid. I'd never had an animal for 10 plus years. So it was very, very painful. And it did, I hate to use the terminology, it solved a problem, but it kind of in a way did. My fiance had cat allergies, and we didn't know what we were going to do once we were married about my cat. My cat Ozzie had always been versatile. Indoor cat sometimes exclusively, outdoor cat sometimes exclusively, both sometimes. And but I was a little worried about moving into a neighborhood and being around a lot of other houses and a lot of people and roads and stuff, and him having to be predominantly an outdoor cat. So this was kind of like some strange unspoken way of solving that problem, but it's just not the way I would have appreciated it. But I've also, unfortunately, I have discovered that over the years, since my cat has passed away, I must have built up some sort of a tolerance, because I apparently have cat allergies as well. After I got divorced and stuff, I hung out with one particular friend and his family, and they had a couple of cats. And I'd go over to his house and hang out around the cats, and within a couple of hours, I would be runny nose, drainage, watery eyes, agitated red eyes, just really, really bad, like something I'd never experienced, or I don't remember experiencing when I had my cat. And I just figure I must have built up some sort of a tolerance for it. Or maybe as you get older, you lose a tolerance for it if you've always had it. And so I always kind of worry. It's another reason why if I got a pet, it would probably be a dog, because if I were to get a cat and get any kind of a connection to them, and that was what I had to deal with, always feeling like I had allergies and all that kind of stuff, that would be horrible. So, but still, I'm still a 100% tried and true cat person. I love cats, prefer cats, but would never say no if I could have a pet and it was a dog, not having to deal with a litter box, not having to deal with, scratching or getting them declawed. A little dog would probably be the perfect pet for me, but I can't have a pet where I'm at. And also spending that money, I will gladly go out and say that I was never good with the veterinarian thing. I didn't take my cat to the vet very often. I'm sure my cat did not have all the shots and stuff that it should have had during its lifetime. My anxiety issues and all kinds of other issues just kind of kept me from it. I didn't really have the money and really couldn't afford to do all that. And I know they say, especially when it comes to animals, you should not take on something if you can't afford it, if you can't take care of it in the right way. I couldn't, and I didn't, and I've learned from that. I won't take on something like that unless I can. But companionship, though, is pretty important, and pets can be almost as good a companion as another human being. So I do miss that. I miss coming home and having some, pair of eyes that look up at you longingly and lovingly and say, where you been, and when are you going to feed me? And I miss that a lot, but I miss this guy here a whole lot, Ozzie. It was named after Ozzie Smith, the St. Louis Cardinals shortstop. No offense to Ozzy Osbourne fans, but that's not who I named him after. Miss him a lot. I miss having a pet, but you know what? You do what you got to do. And so that's that. Cat, dogs, other animals, what's your preference? I really think that cats are the bomb. Dogs aren't horrible, but they're just not my favorite. The rest of the animals out there I could really do without. All those little critters and whatnot. Those are way more high maintenance even than a cat. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on cats and dogs. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.